Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. Today we're gonna finish assembling this guitar. So big day today, we're gonna finish assembling this guitar. If you haven't been following along with the series, I suggest you do so. It's been, as you can probably tell, pretty interesting. So I just want to say a big thank you to the guys from Solo Music Gear. As you guys know, they sent me this kit. If you're interested in picking one up, check out the link in the description below. It's an affiliate link for the same kit. You can get the same one, follow along with the series, and make something pretty awesome. Today is assembly day. Big day, exciting times. We're gonna get this thing put together so that in the next video we can demo it. As you all probably know already, I'm changing some of the pickups. I'm changing a bit of the hardware. I'm switching out the tuners. Yeah, I'm making some upgrades. Things have changed. You won't know all of them unless you go back and watch kind of what it looked like when we started, but it's time to get this thing all soldered together and ready to play. So in the interest of saving time, because this kind of thing takes a few minutes, I'm gonna do the rest of this in voiceover. I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing as I do it. And yeah, let's get going on it. First things first here, I gotta get these knobs put on. I took all of this stuff apart. It's very easy to put back together, but I took it all apart so that I could do some aging work on it. You can probably see there's some black streaking on there. Just kind of to make it worn out looking and make it kind of match the rest of the guitar. So I gotta put the bridge back together as well. This is very straightforward. You just put the saddles in onto the ends of the bolts there and screw it in. Make sure you got the spring in there, and obviously I'm gonna have to go through afterward and do the intonation adjustments. But for now, I'm just kind of getting them semi in place, and once I've got them on there, then I can get them measured in place and intonated once it's strung up. So here I am putting my new pickup in there. It's the rail pickup that I've replaced this with. I'll put a link to one in the description. You can get the nice ones from DiMarzio. You can also get the no-name brands, which is what this one is. I think it's going to work just fine. I've tested it out. I like the way it sounds, so I'm happy with it. Again, you've got a bolt with a screw on it, or with a spring on it rather, and in this case I'm just using the ones that were holding on the previous pickup, which you can see in the bottom left. I used the same hardware even though it came with new stuff, and I'm just bolting it in there, and I will adjust the height once it's installed. So now I'm putting in my humbucker, I'm feeding my wires through into the control cavity there, and you'll notice what I do with this, rather than installing it on the pickup ring the standard way, I'm actually direct mounting it. So I've got a little piece of foam under there to do minor height adjustments, and I'm screwing it right in place to minimize what I have on the surface so I don't have to put bolts through my pickup ring. It's going to look pretty much uninterrupted. It's just going to have, you can see the little holes, one screw kind of in each corner, equidistant from the edge, holding it in place, get that nice uninterrupted aged metal look that I'm going for on this one. And I'd say that looks pretty decent. Yep, coming along nicely. Time to move on to the bridge. So here I've got to ground the bridge. I've got my ground wire coming out of the control plate here, and I feed that through in the opposite direction of where the pickup goes, and then I feed it through in so that it's under the bridge, and there's some exposed wire sitting there underneath where the bridge is going to go. Now I feed my pickup wire through in the other direction, and this is a 5 conductor just like my humbucker because it is the dual rail pickup. So I get that fed through, and priority here is to get this bridge pinned in place so that, first of all, it won't go anywhere obviously, but also so that I make sure I've got that grounding wire pinned in place and it doesn't slip out from underneath the bridge before I get it secured down. If that isn't under there, you're going to end up with a fairly noisy guitar because it's not grounded properly. You need your bridge grounded, and even though mine's grounded by this copper tape, it's really obviously important to have that other grounding cable involved. Now I'm starting to move on to the soldering here, soldering a couple wires together to make these work properly with my switch. I'm not going to get into the details of any kind of wiring scheme because that's a fairly personal thing. It's something you need to decide on your own what you want for a scheme for your wiring. Just make sure that you're grounding it properly to the pins on the ends like you see me doing there, and that's not what, yeah, there we go. That's grounding it to the ends, and then you get your switches wired up however you want them. Really, there are tons of wiring diagrams available online, so that's something you'll have to pick for yourself. I don't have push-pull knobs or anything. Mine's a very straightforward selection between the two pickups. And there you just saw me feed the 2 wires for the output jack, and I'm just soldering them on. Always remember the tip, which is that part that sticks out. Opposite that is still the tip, that's where your hot goes, and then your ground is on the side. Once that's in place, you can start screwing things in. So obviously I'm bolting down my control cavity plate here rather. Also has an aged finish on it. I didn't bother doing an aged finish on the output jack plate, although I'm thinking I might. Haven't gotten around to that yet. Still have to decide whether that's going to be something I want to do or not. Make sure you're using the right screws, of course. And yeah, it's all pretty straightforward from here on out. We just got to bolt a couple things in place. I'm getting my strap buttons put in. You can also do strap locks if you want to go for an upgrade on this. I personally have never dropped a guitar using strap buttons, but you can also, one of these days I'll show you guys a trick for making your own strap locks. It's pretty straightforward. You just need to be a beer drinker, I guess, and I think that a few of you probably qualify as that. Now I'm putting the neck on. I did save this for last, which means I'm bolting it on from the bottom so I don't have to flip the guitar over and rest it on all of those controls. You can put the neck on right after the pickups if you want, before you put the control plate on. It really doesn't make much of a difference. Now I'm putting the string trees on here. I marked where they needed to go before I painted the guitar. I lined them up with the strings, so you kind of need to do that. You need the strings on there to make sure that they're aligned properly, and then you can install them afterward. In this case, I don't need the strings on there because they've already been marked. I'm replacing the tuners that came with this with locking tuners, just because locking tuners generally tend to be better. They're a little nicer, they make it a little easier to work with, and if you know how to use them, they preserve your tuning stability a little bit more. You don't wind the string around a whole bunch, you just kind of lock it in place reasonably tight and then crank it down the little bit that's needed to get you the pitch. So that provides a lot less area on the string that can stretch out and ruin your tuning stability. So I'm putting these in, getting them bolted down. Make sure you put the little screws in the back if you can, to keep them stable. That's kind of an important aspect of it. I don't believe I filmed myself doing that. And I don't recommend buying those fancy wrenches from StewMac because they're just the same as a normal one, except way more expensive. So I'm just getting these bolted in place here, tightening down the nuts, using a normal wrench of course, and now you can enjoy a nice view of how this thing looks when it's all assembled. All it needs now are strings.